So we have three announcements for today that they're all relating to the Model S. The first is that we're going to be offering an upgraded battery pack to 90 kilowatt hours. This will be a pack option available for $3,000. The second is that we're going to be offering the 70 kilowatt hour single motor rear drive Model S for $70,000, which is $5K less than the dual motor version. And when you factor in incentives, which are typically around $10,000, and gas savings over the normal, so the average ownership period, which is typically 5 years, that effectively amounts to, on an apples-to-apples basis, around $50K when compared to a gasoline car. And then the third item is we're offering an upgrade of the high-performance Model S to what we call Ludicrous mode, which is a 0 to 60 of 2.8 seconds. Let me also address something you may be wondering about the Model X and the Model 3. Those are on track. X is on track for delivery in a few months, and the 3 in just over 2 years. So on to the news of today. So the upgrade from 85 to 90 kilowatt hours provides about 15 miles of additional range, and will actually, in some cases, up to 7% additional range, which may be in excess of 20 miles range. The net result is that we should be able to go on our longest range version, which is which will be the 90D. You'll be able to do almost exactly 300 miles of highway range at 65 miles an hour. So existing owners can also purchase the pack upgrade, but I wouldn't recommend doing so unless somebody's on the edge of range performance, because we expect to increase pack capacity by roughly 5% per year on average. So I'd recommend existing owners wait until they have more time in their existing pack and there is a larger accumulated pack energy difference. So let's see. Going into kind of the Ludicrous mode. With some background on this. While we're working on our goal of making the powertrain last 1 million miles, we came up with the idea for an advanced smart fuse for the battery. So instead of a standard fuse that just melts past a certain amperage, which means we have to have quite a significant safety gap, so that we have to restrict the battery pack amperage to well below where it would melt under normal operations, and because with a sort of standard or dumb fuse, you don't know exactly when it will melt or if it'll arc when it does. So we developed a fuse with its own electronics and a tiny lithium-ion battery, and it constantly monitors current at the millisecond level and is pyro-actuated to cut power with extreme precision and certainty. So this was combined with upgrading the main contactor to use Inconel, which is a high-temperature space-grade superalloy instead of steel, so that it means it keeps being springy under the heat of heavy current. And the net result is that we can safely increase max amperage from 1,300 to 1,500 amps, which is quite a crazy power level. And this results in the 10% acceleration improvement in the 0 to 60 time to 2.8 seconds and a quarter mile of 10.9 seconds. The time to 155 miles an hour is improved even more and is reduced by 20%. So it's pretty awesome improvement, and that will cost $10K to new buyers. In appreciation for existing P85D owners, the packed electronics upgrade will be offered for the next 6 months at only $5,000 plus whatever the local cost of installation labor is. It's important to note that the battery pack size upgrade and the pack electronics upgrade are almost entirely independent. The pack upgrade going to 90 kilowatt hours is about energy or range, and the electronics upgrade is about power, which affects acceleration. So with that, let's go into questions.
Wonderful, thank you. And as a reminder to our attendees, if you would like to ask a question, please click on the raise hand icon below your name in the participant panel. And we're going to go for our first question is Phil from CNBC. Please go ahead. Philip, you may ask your question. Okay, and we will go ahead and go to our next question, Nikki from Transport Evolved. Nikki, please go ahead.
Good morning, Elon. I was wondering if you could give us any information about the Roadster upgrade. Obviously, some of the battery pack upgrades that you've been doing to the Model S are very exciting, and there are some Roadster owners who would like to know what's in store for them.
Yeah, we're actually just in the process of finishing the safety validation of the larger battery pack for the Roadster pack upgrade. And if things go well, we should finish it either later this month or early next, and then it goes into production. So I would suspect the first upgraded pack deliveries will be ready for the field in probably late next month. So it's pretty soon, but it's taken us a bit of time to just make sure that the much higher energy pack is going to be as safe as the last one.
Great, thank you. And our next question comes from Steve Fowler from Auto Express. Steve, please go ahead.
Good morning, Elon, or good evening from London. I'd just like to ask you, your car has got sensational straight line speed, but do you plan to do anything to help the car go around corners a little bit better?
Actually, the cornering of the car is pretty good, particularly if you have the P85D settings. It is important to have the staggered wheel configuration where you've got the front, front wheels and rear wheels having a slightly, it's like front 245 and rear 265, and have the Michelin Pilot Super Sports. That makes quite a big difference in the handling. But we're able to do corners at 1G, so that's pretty good. And I forgot one cool thing about the Ludicrous mode acceleration. The car will actually accelerate now at 1.1 Gs, so it's faster than falling.
Okay, great, thank you. And our next question is from Mike Ramsey with Wall Street Journal. Please go ahead, Mike.
Hi. I'm curious about the hope that you have for additional sales based on these variations. I mean, what do you think that it will do? And increasing the size of the pack to 90 kilowatt hours, are you actually increasing the size, or is this as a result of energy density improvements in the cell chemistry?
Yeah, good question. But it is actually as a result of an improved cell chemistry. So this is we're shifting the cell chemistry for the upgraded pack to partially use silicon in the anode. So it's just sort of a baby step in the direction of using silicon in the anode. Still primarily synthetic graphite, but over time we'll be using increasing amounts of silicon in the anode. So the physical size of the pack from the outside will look exactly the same. And as far as sales, I have no idea. We're just trying to make awesome cars, and we thought these would be pretty awesome, so we're doing them.
Great. And our next question is going to be Justin from Yahoo. Justin, please go ahead. Justin, you may go ahead and ask your question.
Hello, Elon. Does the upgraded battery pack change the EPA distance rating for the 90 kilowatt hour car?
It will change the EPA rating, although we can't state an EPA rating without the car being tested by the EPA. So that's why we can state the range at a sort of a fixed speed, but we can't imply an EPA endorsement until they've had a chance to test the car. But it sort of stands to reason that going from 85 kilowatt hours to 90 is roughly a 6 to 7% increase in pack energy. So you can expect to see roughly that proportionate increase in range. We'll call it 5 to 7%. It sort of depends on the circumstances.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Daniel from Motley Fool. Go ahead.
Hi, Elon. Do you feel the same about the gross margin targets for Model S as customers are choosing the 70D and as you guys keep upping the value for the entry car?
Yeah, I mean, the reason I feel good about the gross margin is that if you notice, like with this announcement today, we're actually improving both the low end and the high end. So now there's a Model S available for $5,000 less, but there's also a Model S available for $10,000 more, being with the Ludicrous mode and hence pack electronics. And there's the $3,000 option to increase pack energy by roughly 5 to 6%. So, so I think in being able to offer something at the lower end, obviously that is reduced margin, but on the upper end is increased margin. So I think it'll probably balance it out.
Great. And our next question comes from Alex from Wired. Please go ahead.
Hi. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, it's a little soft, but it's
Perfect. Great. I'm wondering, how important are these Model S upgrades to Tesla's current business, and what do they say about the progress that you're making on the Model X, which is the car a lot of customers seem to be waiting for?
I really just think about things in terms of, are we making the car as good as possible, as fast as possible? And then let the chips fall where they may from a business standpoint. But generally, I think if a company makes great products and is really focused on improving them over time, then generally good things happen financially. So, with respect to the X, the X will, the 90 kilowatt hour pack is certainly an important element for the X, and when we developed the 90 kilowatt hour pack because we thought it was important for the X, because the X has got it's roughly 10% greater mass. So its energy usage per mile will be roughly 10% higher than the S. And so having a 5%, 5-6% bigger battery pack means the net range impact is maybe only around 4 or 5%. So that's I think good for the X. And yeah, so that's important for that element of it. The other two are not that important for it. Although we will of course offer Ludicrous mode on the X. But it's a 10% heavier car, so you expect Ludicrous mode on the X to be, I don't know, maybe 3.2 seconds or 3.3 seconds. Probably, I'd say 3.3-ish because of the slightly higher center of gravity. We haven't tested it yet, so that's just a guess. But that's mad for an SUV, obviously.
And our next question comes from Lena from iAuto. Please go ahead.
Hi, Elon. My question is about the company. We would like to know that when will you plan to announce the company's semi-yearly annual report?
What?
Sorry? Can you hear me? Sorry, can you hear me?
Talking about an annual report?
Yes.
I want to be clear. This is not a general ask any question you like call. This is about the announcement today.
Okay.
Do you have a question about the announcement today?
No.
Okay. All right. Next question.
Okay. And our next question is going to come from Dana Hall from Bloomberg. Dana, please go ahead.
Does the announcement today, is there anything further in terms of timing of the next software update, 7.0?
That's not part of today's announcement, but I am testing 7.0 every day. I mean, there's literally a new build every 1 or 2 days on my car. And, the key feature element of 7.0 is is the lateral control or highway autopilot. And I can say, right now it works incredibly well if the highway markings are clear, but there aren't sort of weird things about a particular freeway. The acid test that we're finding is like the equivalent of like New York for highway autopilots. Like if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Well, that happens to be the 405 in LA, one of the world's worst freeways. And that's where we've got light concrete surface with faded white lines. And then black skid marks that have higher contrast than the actual lane markings. This is not easy for the computer to figure out. And then the lane width also varies massively over the course of a fairly short range. So it's remarkably tricky to get it to work on the 405. But that's actually my daily commute for half the week. So it's really just getting those corner cases right. And just having the interaction be really smooth and natural, and making sure those refinements are in there before we release it. But it is, we're working the 7 days a week, so it is a high priority item for us. And I'm hopeful we'll release it to our early access program, which is kind of our sort of public beta, if you will. In, about 2 or 3 weeks, something like that. And then wide release will depend on what the public beta experiences are.
Okay, great. Thank you. And our next question comes from Wayne from CNET. Please go ahead. Wayne, you might go ahead.
Hi. You mentioned that you're expecting a battery increase pack capacity by 5% per year on average. Does that come per year, or are you looking at certain spikes, like 3 years down the road, adding, 15%?
I would imagine it's roughly 5 to 10%. I wouldn't imagine a 15% increase, but 5 to 10%. Every 1 to 2 years.
And you expect to implement that in the Model S as a retro implementation, or just as the new cars roll out?
Yeah. Well, it'll obviously be offered in new cars as the pack, as the pack's available. It'll be offered in new cars, and then it'll be available to existing owners as an upgrade. But as I was saying earlier, I wouldn't, with an average of 5% a year pack energy increase. I wouldn't recommend people upgrade every year. It would be, unless they're really on the ragged edge of range, which very few people are. It's better to wait until the pack energy delta is more like 10 to 15%, or maybe just actually 15%. I think is probably a good threshold for people to consider upgrading. So that would be thinking, it's really up to the individual and whether they actually need it or not. But I'd say, I'd reckon most people probably upgrade every 3 or 4 years.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Matt from the Business Insider. Please go ahead.
Hey, Elon. Did you have to make any engineering changes outside battery and electronics on the S to accommodate Ludicrous mode? I'm thinking about, suspension and chassis adjustments to handle the extra speed. Is that something the customers are going to have to deal with if they get the upgrade?
Nope. No, this is just, to put a bit more detail on the engineering of Ludicrous mode. What it actually enables is for the car not to be pack power limited past about 30 miles an hour. So up through about 30 miles an hour, the car is essentially traction limited. So we would just have to put like really big wheels on and be on a high mu surface or something to not be traction limited up through roughly 30 miles an hour. once you get to about 30 miles an hour, the limitation on acceleration becomes the how much current you can safely extract from the battery pack. So we currently limit that current output to 1,300 amps, but in Ludicrous mode with the advanced smart fuse and the in-canal contactor, we were able to raise that limit safely to 1,500 amps. And so the car is able to continue accelerating at roughly the same rate as it does from 0 to 30, all the way up past 60 miles an hour. It has improved pack power all the way to Bmax which is electronically limited to 155 miles an hour. So if you've experienced the insane mode, it's basically what it actually amounts to is an extension of the insane mode past 30 miles an hour, because otherwise we normally have to sort of bleed off into sort of the insane mode after that. This is all making sense, but that's basically what's happening. So the net result is quite a good improvement. And as I was saying earlier, if you have the Pilot Super Sports, the Michelin tires on staggered Michelins, you can do about 1G in corners, which most people have no idea what 1G feels like in a corner. It's really crazy. And you could do 1.1 Gs in a straight line in acceleration. And I should point out, this is a car that is capable of carrying 7 people plus luggage.
Okay, and our next question comes from David from the San Francisco Chronicle. Please go ahead, David.
Good morning. Question with the Model S as you get near the rollout for the Model X. You've been doing all these tweaks to the car to improve its functionality. Any thought to doing a body redesign?
Yeah, I mean, I can't comment on that, but I think there are. I mean, our focus right now is very much on the X and just getting that done, because there's really, at the end of the day, we originally thought the X would have a lot of commonality with the S, but in order to make the X great, we really had to go to the point where there's maybe 30% of the parts are in common between an S and an X. So there's a huge amount of bodywork associated with the X, and that's our focus right now.
Thank you. And our next question comes from Chris with The Streets. Please go ahead, Chris.
Hi, Elon. My question is on ludicrous speed as it relates to insane mode. Is this something that's been driven by customer feedback, or is this something that you and the engineering team kind of looked at and said this is something that we thought that customers would want? And then what's been the general feedback on the upgrade to insane mode?
Yeah, nobody was asking for ludicrous mode because it's too ludicrous. People have loved insane mode. It's been just extremely well received, and it's just incredible fun. It's just like having your own private roller coaster. And we thought, well, we sort of figured out from an engineering standpoint how to go beyond insane, and we thought, well, we should release that. We should give people that ability. I mean, it does require some fairly advanced and exotic electronics, but it's still a good thing, and I think to have a 4-door full-size sedan go 0 to 60 in 2.8 seconds is just mind-blowing. So, can't hide that light under a bushel. So that's pretty cool.
Perfect, thank you. And our next question comes from Alboris from Car Advice. Please go ahead.
Hi, Elon. Good morning from Australia. I'm just wondering, you talk about the changing chemistry of the batteries while also increasing their capacity. At what point in the future do you expect the weight to also be reduced for better dynamics in the car?
Well, we've actually been making slight improvements to the weights for the past 3 years. And I should point out that in an average week for the Model S, there are 20 engineering changes. So we make 20 sort of small changes per week. I mean, they're not worth sort of putting a press release out, but they're mass savings, they're interior trim improvements. There's like just sort of little improvements here and there all over the car. For example, the rear nodes, we went from sort of a standard casting process to a high pressure die casting process, and we're able to increase the durability and decrease the mass of the rear node castings in the car by about 5 kilograms each. So it's 10 kilogram mass savings. Just throughout the car, we've made big improvements with the battery pack. The non-cell portion of the pack mass is about 20, 25 kilograms better than when we first started out. So there's a whole bunch of little improvements, and we'll continue to make improvements. I mean, Tesla is really a continuous improvement company, and sometimes I have friends ask me like, well, should I wait to buy a Model S? Will there be a better one in the future? I was like, well, yeah, of course there will be a better one in the future, but there will always be a better one in the future. So if you want to wait to buy a car until there won't be a better one in the future, you'll be waiting forever.
Perfect, thank you. And our next question is going to be Phil from CNBC. Please go ahead, Phil. Okay, it looks like he may not be with us, so we'll move on to our final question. This is going to come from Chris with Mashable. Please go ahead.
Hi there, Elon. I noticed in the press release you teased a maximum plaid mode for the next generation Roadster. Is that going to be an entirely new car, or is it going to be the same Lotus-based car that you already have?
It'll be an entirely new car.
Okay. I'm looking forward to maximum plaid.
Maximum plaid. All right, cool. All right, thanks everyone. I think these are some pretty fun upgrades, and talk to you all later. Thanks, bye.